Alright, this is just going to be a quick rerun on the classroom session as my mic was doing something weird and wasn't actually recording my voice during this part. I don't know how well the people actually heard me in game, but on the OBS and the recording software it just wasn't picking me up. So just very quickly, it's going to be maybe 5-10 minutes, if that. So it's the basic infantry tactics done by the 171st in conjunction with Reaper. Overview. We're just looking to, go over the most fundamental infantry tactics. Everyone should know these. And we're just going to make sure that people understand the more advanced workings of what these are. There are 4 goals in this: to achieve higher effectiveness in the field, accurate knowledge and understanding on each topic, to allow all members that experience either this video or were in the training prior to this the same level of training. People that are going to watch this will hopefully grasp or understand what's happening, and if not, they can just come back to me and we can discuss it in further detail. And then obviously we want to make the game more enjoyable. Dying repeatedly to common mistakes is not fun for anyone. It's just not that good. So in this, we're just trying to understand what the most basic infantry tactics are and how to utilize them in advanced settings. The modules in this course are 3 modules. We've got use of recon, we've got fire and maneuver, and we've got use of violence of action. So the first topic is use of recon. There are 2 types of recon for any team or person that they can utilize in combat to gain an advantage. The first one is leadership recon, and the second one is what everyone knows and loves, standard recon observation teams. So let's start with leadership recon. Leadership recon, as the name implies, is going to be done by a platoon, squad, or fire team leader to determine whether their plans before they started the assault on the objective needs to be modified to ensure smooth execution of both the reconnaissance they're doing and the operation that they need to complete or the objective they need to accomplish. Like I said, it's just as simple as that. You want a 360-degree view of what's happening in and around the objectival area. We want observations on troop movements, positions, troop size, the routes that they're taking in and out of the operational area, as well as the movements of friendly troops, as well as the friendly assets that we might have on station, so that we can task them to take out points of interest, such as bunkers or vehicles or anything of that sort. And as I've said many times now, this is performed by your leadership. This isn't going to be done by the private, the corporal, or the sergeant. It's going to be done by your warrant officers and your captains. And then your recon observation teams, or your special recon, or SR. And this is what everyone's used to in AFS. It's a small team of highly trained professionals that utilize these small tactics behind enemy lines to avoid detection and direct combat with the enemy combatants. But the last thing I want to touch on here that kind of ties into every single person within the game is self-recon. Self-recon is for everyone to do whenever they're walking in formation, playing the game, holding security, doing whatever they need to do within the game. They are providing self-recon. When it comes to self-recon, you're looking out for troop movements, you're observing and scouting, you're making sure that everyone is on the same page as you, in essence. You don't want, let's say, a new guy to spot enemy and not inform the rest of the team, and then they walk up into an ambush. Everyone needs to be on the same page, and self-recon plays a big part in that. We want people to be able to identify, describe, and engage accurately, all on the same plane of existence, all on the same page. Alright, and with that, leadership is done. Recon is done. And we can move on to fire maneuver, the main topic of what today's training was supposed to be about. Fire maneuver, as the title describes, is the most basic military low-level tactic that can be used to maneuver in the presence of the enemy. You're not using this when you're not in the presence of enemy, because then there's no use for fire or maneuver. We want to be focusing on the 3 F's that Bear put out for me to teach you guys on, and that's finding the enemy, fixing them in place, and then flanking them. So the 3 F's: fix, find, flank. The goal here is to utilize information gathered from your recon to establish 2 or more teams to assault onto an objective. The main objectives is to set up your firing element, which will consist of heavy weapons teams such as machine guns, AT, snipers, marksmen, anything that can punch out and kick out ass from a long distance away or just has enough firepower to pin the enemy in place. And then your lighter kits, your riflemen, your stock standard people that aren't carrying specialized equipment to do the maneuvering for your maneuver element. Those are what the teams need to be broken down into. I've seen it many times where we have a machine gunner going on the assault and not providing support by fire. Kind of defeats the purpose of a support by fire. We want to have the heaviest weapons providing the fire, and the lightest people, the lightest equipped men that can run, can move, and not run out of stamina quickly, push onto the objective, push onto the enemy, and flank. Alright. And the basic thing here is when you're doing fire maneuver, you don't want to push too far out of your friendly elements. Alright? Advancing too quickly, and your support by fire can't provide you with support, and then you find yourself isolated. If your support by fire isn't covering you or shooting, then the enemy has a chance to pick up and move their position and or eliminate the maneuver element. Neither of these two are good. Fire without movement, death. Movement without fire, suicide. And then I just added a quick key here for MET-T, which is basically a evaluation of the mission, the enemy, the terrain, their troop availability, your troop availability, the time, and civilian consideration. And then, this, you guys can read on this document. I've linked it in the training notice. This document just goes forth and explains all the formations that you guys know about. Your wedges, your files, your columns, your lines, your platoon lines, your Vs, your flying wedges, everything like that. It's in there. Go give it a read. I'm not going to explain that. You should all know what the formations are by now. But I am going to quickly touch on the movement tactics here, as well as the halts and actions at halt and actions on contact, which we'll touch on briefly. So, movement techniques. You have 3 forms. Your traveling overwatch, and bounding overwatch. Traveling is used when contact is not likely and speed is important. You want to get to a place and you want to get there quickly. You're not considering what enemy troops are like. You're not even bothering about being engaged. This is more often used when you're in a friendly situated area, whether it's captured by friendly, held by friendly, or there's no contact expected in the area. You've just come out of a base. You're not expecting to be engaged just out of a base. That's kind of what traveling means. You're using it to get a place as soon as humanly possible. Traveling overwatch is, just a caveat onto that, is contact is possible, but you're still looking out for speed. You still want to get there quickly, but you're on the lookout for contact. You want to be moving in a way that stops you from being engaged, but you also want to be getting to your position quickly. Bounding overwatch is when contact is likely or imminent and you're not worrying about speed. You've either come into contact or you're going into an assault knowing where enemy positions are. The speed isn't important. Now your considerations are keeping your friendlies alive and making sure the objective is executed without casualty. I'm going to skip through foot marches and we're going to go straight to actions at halts. Now, halts are performed when in formation, in convoy, or whatever, you're moving to an objective and a halt is called either by your team lead or your squad lead, and the platoon comes to a halt. The first thing that you want to do is security is posted, and all the approaches into your area, into your line of sight, are covered by key weapons. Key weapons being your machine guns, vehicle-mounted weapons, tanks, APCs, anything with a large caliber gun, your weapon systems that can reach out and touch people at long distance or just utterly obliterate a vehicle. Those are the points that you want to watch with those key weapons. The platoon sergeant, or in our case, your second in command, whoever that may be at the time, will move through the platoon, check if security is going up properly, correct it if it's not, and then meet with your first IC or the platoon leader to determine the reason of the halt. Why are we stopped? Is there something we need to be looking out for? Have we spotted enemy troops? Why are we stopping? From there, the leader will give the information to the second IC, and the second IC will distribute that information among the troops, not the squad lead. The squad lead needs to focus on the task at hand, which is keeping his troops alive and directing his leaders in a way that keeps them alive. Then we want to go on to A, which is duration of halts less than 30 seconds. If we already know that we're stopping for less than 3 seconds, whether that's just to take a quick drink of water, to eat an MRE, to check ammo, weapons, and medical supplies, it's going to take less than 30 seconds. So people will drop down to a knee and cover their sector until they're called upon to give their ace report. All right. The B of this is stops longer than 30 seconds. We're going to be stopping here to perform leadership recon. We're going to be stopping here to evaluate our plan and our egress into the point of interest. Again, I'm not worried about the cigar-shaped perimeter. It's really not important. As long as security is held within 360 of the area, should be fine. But people, every soldier is in the prone position, getting as low as possible. And because we're stopping, you might as well build trenches. You might as well dig out a foxhole. Make sure that you have cover to get into if there isn't already provided naturally, like a rock or a tree, shrubbery, a building, and so on. And then on to 3, actions upon contact. These are the actions you take when the platoon comes into contact, executing the correct battle drill. Whether that's A, reacting to the contact. The right side is being shot at. We don't want people just sitting on the left-hand side doing nothing. Get over to the right and engage, and vice versa. Or we're breaking from contact, throwing smoke. We didn't expect to be engaged. We're throwing smoke out and we're running away from it to re-engage at a later stage. Or it became too heavy and we're taking too many casualties. We want to get away from that point as soon as possible and re-establish our lines. And then obviously something that no one ever wants to be in, an ambush, and how to react to an ambush. Again, ambushes are hard to come by in armor, but sometimes they can be scripted very well and executed very well. But the same tactics apply. Assess your damages and react to the contact appropriately. If you can push through, push through. If you can't and you need to break, pop smoke and break out. It's really that simple. And then the last topic of this is the violence of action. Now, a lot of people don't know what this term is if you haven't been in the military or haven't experienced MILSIM at a very, very, very high level. But in an essence, violence of action means the unrestricted use of your speed, strength, any surprise element that you might have, and aggression to achieve total dominance against your enemy. It's a very difficult topic to discuss because there's really not much you can say about it. The description says it all. However, you don't want to be over-exertive in this. Like the example I gave during training, I've noticed a lot of people getting to the objective, securing what they need to secure, and then chasing after the enemy only to find a tank behind a building that they didn't see. Now they're in a very dangerous position where they're either alone or with a team and they don't have the capability of fighting a tank because they don't have AT. They can't engage it properly, so now they're going to suffer casualties because they've become over-exertive in their actions. The violence of action is always based upon your objective, and once the objective is secure, you don't need to utilize it anymore. Right, and then just a couple illustrations that help us understand what each topic is. This first one here is leadership recon or recon in general. So you want to be far enough away not to be spotted, not to be engaged, because that then gives you away to the enemy. You want to be performing it inside shrubberies, on top of hills, outside of range of contact, just to generalize the plan. Make sure that your execution on the objective is going to be 100% complete and that you have a 360-degree informational outlet on your objective. And then an illustration for fire and maneuver elements. So you have your fire support element or your support by fire. It is a team that is As simple as that sounds, engaging the contact, or engaging the position that you want to assault onto. And the maneuver element, the team that is light and can just go through and push through and get to that point and take it out. And then obviously just a little figurine saying how to signal this in real life, which is a clenched fist and thrusting in the direction you want the maneuver to take place in. So the first thrust will be towards the contact or towards the objective that you want to flank. That bunker in front of me, flank left. Same stuff, really. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and if you have any questions, like I said at the beginning of the video, just give me a shout and I'll be able to discuss this in more detail with you.